Hi, I'm Jim Pence with See the Light, and welcome to Adventures in Digital Art. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time because I got into digital art about 5 years ago and just absolutely love it. In fact, if you noticed the pictures at the beginning of the video, those are little digital pieces that I've done, and I have so much fun with digital art. I've wanted to do some tutorials, so if you've been thinking about getting involved in it, particularly as a homeschooler, that this might hopefully be a help to you in the process of knowing, what to do, how to get into it, what are the advantages, what are the apps. I mean, there's so many different options. So that's kind of what this series is going to focus on, and we're going to start out just by hitting the basics of how to get into digital art, and then we're going to do some projects together too. That's always a bit more challenging because there are so many different apps and things out there, but we'll get to that later. Today I want to mostly focus on why, again, particularly as a homeschooler or a homeschooling parent, why you would want to consider making digital art part of your homeschooling art curriculum. And as I go here, and you can tell I'm playing around just with some little digital effects on the text that is on the screen, and I'm going to go on here in just a minute and do a little picture for you. But I just wanted to give you something to look at and just a hint of some of the things that you can do in digital art. And again, as a homeschooler, here are a few of the reasons I think you might want to consider including this in your curriculum, or even making it the primary focus of your art curriculum. First of all, there is such a versatility to digital art. There are so many different things you can do with it. I have apps that will imitate oil painting. I have apps that imitate watercolor painting. Some that really approximate chalk better than any I've seen, and it seems like each app kind of has its own strengths and weaknesses. But then just setting aside traditional media, there are just so many different ways of drawing and creating artwork with digital apps that it really doesn't it doesn't matter what your interest is in as an artist, or what your child is interested in. There's probably going to be something that they can pick up and they can focus on and really enjoy. And that that of course is one of my big things, is have fun, and I really find digital art to be a lot of fun. Now, another thing that is advantageous, particularly if you're a parent, is you don't have to go out and buy a lot of different supplies to try different kinds of art creation. I do watercolors, I do oils, I do pastels, and if I'm working in traditional media, if I want to do a watercolor, I've got to make sure I have all those supplies, and it can get really expensive. And the nice thing about using digital apps to create art, working on a tablet or working on your PC, you don't have to go get a lot of supplies. So that's a great advantage to me. And another one, and I hear this a lot from parents, is there's no mess. And that is as a homeschooling parent, you know what it's like. You've got 5 kids, and they all are going to do art, and so if you don't have a dedicated schoolroom, you've got the dining room table covered with art supplies, and you've got to get everything out. You've got to get everything set up, do your art class, and then put it all away again, and it just gets to be tiring. Well, if you're doing digital art, you don't have any of that. You don't have to set up. You just get out your tablet and turn on the app, and you're ready to go. So to me, that's another huge advantage in learning digital art, because you're more likely to practice simply because it's it doesn't require a lot of effort to get going. So that's something to think about. And another thing is, I really think, particularly if you have a creative child, a child who is interested in art, interested in drawing, and maybe even leaning toward a career in art, knowing digital art would give them a great advantage. This is cutting edge, and it's I believe something that they can use as a skill. They may go on to be an illustrator. There's all sorts of things that you can do if you learn how to work digitally. If you learn how to create your art, create your images on a laptop, on a tablet, on a PC. So those are some of the advantages of doing digital art. Now, in succeeding weeks, like next week, I'm trying not to say next week because these aren't always seen in order. But in the next video that I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about my 3 top apps, and I'll show you some other ones. But I have 3 that I work with most of the time, and that will be in the next video. And the video after that, I'm going to be talking about what kind of equipment you need to get started in video in digital art. And then from there on, we'll go on and begin to do some projects and show you practically some fun things that you can do. So that's kind of where we're going, and I think I've pretty much covered what I wanted to cover. So I'm going to do some narration here and kind of explain what I've been doing in this particular drawing that you're watching right now. You notice I started with a great big circle, and I am right now shading that a little bit, and by now you may have figured out it's going to be a planet. And I like to draw space pictures. That's just something that has always been a favorite subject of mine, whether it's in chalk art or watercolor or in digital art. And this particular program that I'm using, one of the cool things is, in fact I'm doing it right now, is I can draw the planet really big. I need to tweak that again. I can draw the planet really big, which lets me put in the detail that I want, and then I just shrink it down and put it wherever I want to. That's one of the advantages of digital art. Another advantage is if you're in the middle of doing something and you make a mistake, as you're going to see in a minute here, it's not really a mistake, but if I were doing this picture in watercolor or oil, it would be a mistake. I'm about to put some stars in here. And in this particular app, I have downloaded from another site a lot of different star brushes, and we'll talk about what all that kind of thing means later. But I'm just about to add some stars here, and as I add those, you're going to see I make a mistake here. That it wouldn't be disastrous if I was doing it in watercolor, but it would make it would take a little bit of work to clean things up. If you have noticed it yet, I'm putting all my stars in, but some of my stars are in front of the planet. As you can see, if you look closely at that planet, if this were watercolor, it means I would have failed to cover up my planet and would have spattered either white gouache or white acrylic or white oil on top of the planet, and then I would have to go in and do a lot of correction. Well, in digital art, because I'm working in something called layers, I can just rearrange things a little bit. So you see all those stars right there on the front of the planet. And to fix that, all I have to do is bring up that layer again that I just laid down, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the planet layer, and I'm just going to move it up. And I moved it on top of the star layer, and if you look closely, you'll notice now all the stars are where they're supposed to be. They're behind the planet. Now I have a nebula brush. I'm going to just add, no, I'm not. I'm going to add a star in first. I always forget when I have a star. This is actually more what would be called a stamp rather than a brush, but I'm just going to put a little star with a little radiance there. And now I'm going to add in a nebula. As I look through those brushes, I have a number of different brushes that I can use for a nebula. I'm going to go back and get my purple color and just kind of lay that in a little bit. And normally with this kind of drawing, I would do it, I would work probably more than an hour. And this is actually real time. This is not speeded up. So this drawing probably took me 7 or 8 minutes to do. And but I just wanted to give you a sampling of what can be done with digital art. And we're going to look at a whole lot more interesting things, have a lot more fun in this process. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope that you will keep checking back each week on the See the Light blog and our website and our YouTube channel. And as you watch that video, please like and subscribe to our channel, and check for new videos every Tuesday. I hope you'll enjoy this journey with me as we explore digital art. I'm Jim Pence with See the Light, and thanks for watching.